Hello guys, you're welcome back to the channel. This is 401 Styling. If you're a new subscriber, you're watching my video for the first time, you're highly welcome. Thanks for stopping by. And for the returning subscriber, I really appreciate you guys. So today I'm going to be sharing with us how to cut a female shirt. Okay, this shirt is going to have a collar, it's going to have a button, and as well it's going to have a long sleeve. Okay, so here I'm using this pattern paper and I already have my starting point here. Okay, this line I have here, let me just make it visible. It will serve as my margin line, my starting point, and as well my shoulder line. Okay, I like to label my pattern, so I'll just label it shoulder line like that. Okay, so this is the shoulder line, and we are going to be starting all our measurements from there, all our vertical measurements. Okay, so this is a shirt, is going to overlap at the front. Okay, so for this reason we are going to be cutting it in a pieces like two, and we are going to be having an overlapping at the front. So this overlapping, I'm going to add an allowance for it. Okay, but before then I'll just draw this line. Okay, it will serve as a starting point for our horizontal measurement. So from this line now, this is the center front. Okay, and we are going to be cutting it out later. Okay, so as I've said before, this is the front pattern, and from this top margin here, okay, I would be taking my vertical measurement from here downwards, and from this front I will be taking my horizontal measurement as well as my body circumference measurement. So the next thing I will do now is to take my shirt length. Okay, for this I'll be using 25" for the shirt length. Okay, so then I'll mark the 25" forward like so, and then I'll connect my points. Okay, I'm just doing this just to have a straight line, just to ensure I have a straight line. That's why I'm marking the points this way. So we will now connect the points with a straight line, just like I'm doing right now. So that is the shirt length or the full length. Okay, let me just extend this margin line. Okay, so after which you have done that, the next thing we want to do now is to take our allowance for the overlap. So for this I'll be using 2". Okay, so I will advise you use your pencil first, and after which you are sure of the lines, you can now confirm your lines with your marker or your pen. Okay, so for this overlap I'll just use 2.5". Okay, I'll be folding in about 1.5" at the end, and I will have like 1" left. So I'll just mark all this line all through and connect it with my ruler. Okay guys, so this part is going inside, but we are going to see later. So from this point here, that is where we are going to start our measurement from. Okay, the shoulder and every other measurement, because this is going inside already. Okay, we are going to sew that part. Just follow me and you will understand. So from here now, I'll take my neck measurement, but firstly I'll have to take my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Okay, I have 7". That is 14 divided by 2. I have 7". So before you take the shoulder slope, you have to take the neckline measurements. I'm using the basic neckline, 3 inches by 3 inches. Okay, 3 inches for the neck width and 3 inches for the neck depth. It's okay that way. Okay, then we are going to connect it with a curve rule to get a round neckline. Okay, so just like I've said before, you can always make use of your pencil first to draw your lines or your curves or mark your points, and by the time you are done and you are sure of the lines you draw, it is okay, then you can now use your marker to make it visible or permanent. Do we get that? Okay, so now that is the neckline. We have a round neckline. So from that neck width, we are going to connect to the shoulder slope. So to get the shoulder slope, you come down by 1" from the 7" you mark earlier, then you connect back to the neck width with a straight ruler, just like you see me doing right now. Okay, so you can use a pencil throughout your drawings. Okay, and after which you are done with everything, you can make the lines permanent by using your marker. Okay, so after which I have done the shoulder slope, the next thing I want to do now is to take my vertical points. Okay, the vertical points includes the bust point, the waist, and the full length. Those are the measurements we'll be needing for these shirts. Okay, And after which you had mark it this way, you mark it forward a little bit, just like I did for the shirt length the other time, just to be able to connect the lines easily. Do you understand my point? So after you have done this, you're just going to connect the line like so. Okay, so guys, after which you have connected the lines, go ahead and label your pattern. It's really good you label your pattern because it saves you from trouble. In case you forget anything, you will always remember. So from this shoulder slope down, we are going to take our chest line measurement so that we'll be able to draw our armhole line and our armhole curve. Okay, so from the shoulder slope now, you will divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5 inch. Okay, so here I have 35 divided by, okay, what I have is just about 7.3, but I like to use 7 inch. Okay, and sometimes you can use whatever you have on your shoulder measurements. It is always and almost the same thing most of the time. Okay, so and then you just mark whatever you have on your shoulder forward this way so that you have an accurate line. Okay, and there is another method you can use. From your bust point, you come up by 2 inch. Okay, this also works too. Okay, depending on what works for you. So I had mentioned 3 methods already, so just decide on which one you want to use, which one works better for you. Okay, so from this line now, I'm just going to draw a straight line like this, and that's our chest line. Okay, so from there now, the next thing we want to do is create our armhole curve. On this line, just like you see me doing, you divide it into 2 equal half, come in by 0.5 inch, then connect to the tip of the shoulder slope. Okay, just like you see me doing right now. Just watch what I'm doing carefully. I believe you will understand. So from that line now, you will connect back to the chest line, but before you do that, you divide your bust by 4. Okay, and whatever you get, you mark that point, and that is exactly where you are going to connect your curve. So I have 8.75. I'll mark the 8.75 this way, and from this initial line, I'm going to connect back to the chest line with my curve, just like you see me doing. You need to be careful when you're making use of your curve rule. Okay, as a beginner, you need to be very careful. And if you're good with your free hand, go ahead and use your free hand. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is to take our horizontal measurement, that is our body circumference measurement. So on the chest line and the bust point, divide your bust by 4 rather, then you mark it. On your waistline, divide your waist measurement by 2 and you mark it. On your full length or chest length, you divide your hip by 4 and mark it. Then you connect the lines like I'm doing right now. So whatever shape you are getting, do not worry, it depends on the person's shape. And remember, our body is not a straight line. We surely have curves, and that is how we are created. So after which you have done this, you are going to take the seam allowance. You add the seam allowance. I'll suggest you add your seam allowance immediately. Okay, so I'm going to be adding 1.25. okay, the reason why I'm adding 1.25 is because of the serging allowance. If I want to serge my shirt inside, if I want to weave it, overlocking or whatever you call it, so that allowance is there. So I'll just mark my 1.25 this way and connect exactly the way I connected the original line. Okay, so just make sure you confirm your measurements before you go ahead. Okay, and do not forget to label whatever you have on it. After you are done drafting your pattern, you write the measurements. So this is the seam allowance area. You can just write it here so that you will know that you already have a seam allowance on your pattern. Okay, so what next you want to do is to blend this area. There should be no sharp points, so you can simply do this with your curve rule, or maybe when you're cutting it, you make sure that that part is not sharp. Okay, so this will be all for the front bodies. Okay, and on this shoulder line area, we're going to be deducting 1 inch, but this will be after which I had cut it. Okay, the reason why we are doing this is because the back is going to be coming a little bit to the front. By the time we get there, you will understand, and we are going to be cutting out this margin line I told us, because it's going to be adding to our measurement if we'll leave it like that. So after that, now I'm just going to cut the side, and we are going to cut the neckline last. Okay, so while you're cutting, remember that point, make sure you curve your hand a little bit while you're cutting. Okay, so then cut the neckline area. So to cut the neckline now, you are going to fold in this allowance this way, because we assume we are sewing it already. So after that, now you can now cut your neckline area. So by the time you are done, you should have something like this. Do not worry, you are on the right track. Okay, so guys, now for the 1 inch I said earlier, we are going to be deducting 1 inch from the shoulder area. So from the shoulder, now you measure 1 inch downwards like I'm doing right now. Then you mark it this way towards the neckline and towards the armhole area. Okay, after that, you connect with your straight ruler, but I'm not going to be cutting this out in case I would need it later. So I'll just be demarcating and demonstrating the cut out sign just like this, so that in case I want to make use of it later, or someone is helping me with this pattern, they will know that I'm cutting out that part. So that's why I'm folding it this way. Okay, so we already assume we had cut it out, but it's still there. Do you understand? Okay, so that's that for the front pattern. Now the next thing we want to do now is to cut the back pattern. So guys, as for the back pattern, I already go ahead and mark my lines, my bust point, waist, and then the full length. So but what I did was that I leave about 2-inch allowance at the top, and after the allowance I started my shoulder line. Okay, and this 2-inch allowance, we are going to be understanding this very soon, because we'll need to extend our shoulder, our back shoulder, just like we deduct from the front. Okay, we need to replace that particular part we removed earlier. I hope we now understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so here is where we are going to impute the 1 inch. So guys, now what we are going to do at the back now, remember the front is not on fold. Okay, so from this shoulder line now is where we are going to take our measurements. Okay, so I already have the full length of the top. It is after that allowance that you now mark your full length. Do we understand? Okay, so now from here, now this place we assume it is on fold, because this is the back pattern. Okay, we are going to be cutting out this margin line as well, but we assume it is on fold. Do we understand? Because it's the back, it's not going to be open. So we are just going to take our measurement like we did for the front. As simple as that. The shoulder divided by 2. Okay, then the neckline for this will be 3 inch by 1 inch, not 3 inch this time around. Okay, then we connect with our curve rule to get a round neckline. Okay, so just like that, we had connect our neckline, and the next thing we want to do is to connect to the shoulder slope, just the same way as we did for the front pattern. That's how we are going to do for the back as well. Okay, so we connect like so. Then after connecting, the next thing is to create our armhole, but the way we are going to be doing for the back will be different from the front, just a little bit. Okay, I guess you still remember the inches we used on the front, 7 by 7. Okay, we are still using the same thing. Then we are going to connect with a straight line like this, and we are extending the chest line as well. Okay, but the way we are going to be doing this, instead of going to the mid of the armhole line, we are just going to connect this directly from the measurement we take, the bust measurement divided by 4. Then we are just going to connect slightly. You can do this with your free hand. It's not necessary to use your curve rule, but this time around the curve is not going upward like that of the front. Okay, I guess we understand the difference now. Okay, so after that, now we are going to come to this neckline area, then replace your 1 inch. Okay, replace the 1 inch you took at the front like so, then connect with a straight ruler. So after that, now you will extend the armhole line, then the neckline as well. You connect it with a curve rule just like you see me doing now. Then the other side as well, you connect with a straight ruler. So guys, after which you had connected this way, the next thing we want to do is to take our circumference measurement, the bust divided by 4 on the bust point and the chest line. On the waistline, we're going to take our waist divided by 4, just like you see me doing, and the same thing on the full length. Divide your hip by 4 and mark, then you connect with a straight ruler. After which you have connect this way, you're just going to mark the same allowance, 1.25 as well at the back. Then you connect same way you connected the first one, and do not forget to blend the sharp points. Okay guys, that's all about that. Now to the hem of the shirt. Okay, you can decide to leave it straight this way, or you try to create a bit of curve, a slight curve around the side like this. So you can come up by 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inch, depending on how high you want it to be. It can even be as low as 0.75. okay, but here I'm going to maintain 1 inch, and I'm going to connect with a curve rule like this. Okay, as you can see, the curve is just a little bit, it's not too much. Okay, so after which I have done that, the next thing for us now is to cut, and make sure you cut the neckline exactly the way it is. Okay, so guys, thanks for watching up to this moment. If you are yet to subscribe, click on the subscribe button now. Do not forget to share, like this video, and drop your comments, your thoughts on this video, and let me know if you need any other videos. Okay, so this is the neckline area. Now I'm just going to be folding this forward this way. Okay, and I'll be bringing in the front. Okay, let's just curve the front pattern before I forget. So place the back on the front this way, just place it on each other and trim off the excess. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say the other time. So this is the back and this is the front. So this is how it's going to be by the time you join your front and back bodies together. Okay, so and make sure that you add your seam allowance to this area when you are transferring to the fabric. So this is how you are going to measure your neckline. Okay, and as you can see, the length is the same, and this is the round armhole. You see that it's also the same, it is not too bigger than each other. So guys, this is the front and this is the back. This will be all for the bodies. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to cut the collar, but firstly, before that, I will indicate on the back pattern that you are cutting on fold. That is, you are going to fold your fabric into 2. Place your pattern on it before cutting for the back bodies, not the front. The front will be cut separately, and the neckline as well, you are going to cut it. You open it up and cut. Okay, so here I'm just going to write the back and here the front. Okay, so I'm going to indicate how many I want to cut. Do you understand? So guys, this is the bodies. Okay, the next thing we want to do now is to measure the neckline so that we'll know what to use in cutting our collar. Do you understand? You are using the neckline measurement to cut the collar. So before you measure the neckline, you have to open up this allowance this way, and we are not measuring it according to this curve. We are going to be cutting off this excess, of course, eventually. So you can just indicate with your pencil like this if you want to measure like this, and do not forget you have some allowance at the front. So you measure the front, then continue the measurements to the back, and vice versa. So, and make sure that whatever you measure, you subtract what you already have. Okay, remember we are going to be folding it about 1.5 inch. Okay, so by the time we deduct all this same allowance and the allowance for the button and every other thing from it, the amount of measurement you'll be having here, I have like 19 inch. Okay, so because by the time I measure everything all together, okay, I have about 25, and then subtract my allowance there, I have 19 inches left. So I will be doing this again after which we are transferred to the fabric so that we can understand clearly, but just like the way I said it now, I believe we should understand. So guys, in my next video, I'll be sharing with us how to draft and cut a collar and a collar stand. Then we are going to be transferring our pattern to the fabric. We are going to join the piece together and make a beautiful shirt. So see you in my next video. Bye.